So this video is going to be refuting Apologia Studios, if I'm saying that right. And I think this guy's name is Jeff Durbin. And you might have heard of it, like, well, at least when I was going to my old church, they would say, is, the Antichrist alive today? Well, they'd usually say alive and well. Well, I was thinking in my mind, he's not going to be well, because he's the man of sin, so he's not going to be well. But anyway, the beast he's referring to in this video is what maybe is Antichrist, and you can see this in the description. Now, if you don't know, like, Apologia Studios, would be, again, Calvinism, and they think most of Revelation already has happened. And, why I have to do this video is because, his channel's going to be reaching a lot of people. And whether, you see this Antichrist in your time or not, it still matters for, future generations, because it's going to happen sometime. But if you think, like, it already has happened, then you're going to be set up wrong for the end times. Because when the Bible says when you see the abomination, if you look it up yourself, Jesus warned, when you see the abomination of desolation, this is a future event. And he was warning them then, and it's been 2,000 years, and this abomination of desolation is referred to in Daniel, the prophet, Jesus said. And if you look at that prophecy, it's clearly, if you don't know, clearly coming yet. And how do we know that? Because the events in Daniel still have to happen. And if you compare them to books like, in this case, Revelation, you can see, Revelation still has to happen. And, one example of this would be, where it talks about like 1/3 of this dying, I'd have to see, but it's like, the sea or the people, the things, and it's like, like we go 1/3, and I think it just says third, but that never happened in history. Let's see if I can find it. A third part of the trees were burnt up. A third part of the sea became blood. A third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. A third part of the ships were destroyed. So like that hasn't happened yet, obviously. Because like you would see it in history written about, right? If just 1/3 of all this stuff died, there'd be people writing about it, right? But they want to just stick to their theology that, oh, this all has happened, and then not use all the Bible verses. It's like really got to be watchful, like if someone teaches and then avoids certain Bible verses, right? And I'm not just talking about him, I'm just saying in general, because they say like, oh, mini antichrists, so like it's like almost denying, or like it says who is an antichrist, but him that, oops, I don't know why, it's him that denies Christ, which is true. And there has been many antichrists as far as people, I think I need like a hyphen or something, maybe, I forget why this is not working, but in John, it talks about, many antichrists, and he covers that in the verse. Maybe I can get it this way. I don't know why I'm having trouble here, but this is an important video because caps lock, caps lock, I can't figure this out. I can't figure it out for some reason. But maybe just not meant to be. But and he covers this in the video, about, like I said, there'd be like many like people. Sorry about these ads. Try to get off of this. I guess I'll just try to get through this ad here. I mean, you click and then ad, but they're gonna say like, oh, most of this happened already, and so like it already happened, and I don't know why they teach this. I really can't figure out why, when again it talks about this stuff happening, as far as the, like I said, the 1/3 of this getting killed, 1/3 of this, and this, and I don't know why they would do that, as far as those things and say that. And the reason it's a big deal is because, like, if you think all this stuff has happened already, and the Bible does talk about the man of sin, a son of perdition, and this is a person that's going to come and you know be claiming to be Christ, and that's why we have these warnings not to be deceived, saying that Christ has already came and or is on the earth. And that's why I did a video today too. I probably upload where Christ still has to come. People are saying, "Oh, he came in 70 A.D." And the Bible says, "Don't let anybody deceive you, for that day shall not come, but except a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed." So there's going to be a falling away, and there's going to be this man of sin who's referred to as some refer to him as the Antichrist, the son of perdition. So, it's a big deal, because it's again, when you're ignoring certain verses and trying to fit your theology into this thing that's maybe acceptable into your denomination, that's not good, because it's you might have certain good things, like I said, preaching against sin and preaching holiness, but when your end times or revelation theology doesn't match up with the Bible, and you just kind of want to go along with it because that's kind of what maybe they teach, you got to go with what the Bible teaches. And it is a big deal, because eventually it will happen. And like I said, Christ even back then talked about it, so it was a future event, and 2,000 years later we're still waiting for it. And you can know it's a future event, because if you compare, he says Daniel the prophet, and you go to the Daniel the prophet, and some of those prophecies still has to happen. And it even says in the latter days being end times thing, so that gives you a hint. So hopefully he sees this video. I don't know if he will, because I got such a small channel, but I think we need some of the bigger channels to speak up about this, because then they see it, where my small channel, people won't see it. But I know some of the big channels maybe don't want to talk about it if it's a big channel, because either sometimes the channels might have done good, maybe in witnessing for Christ, or done some good videos, and they say, well, I don't know how to address this, and it can be kind of tricky that way. Or maybe if you do a video about a big channel, you might not ever get then promoted by the friends of the channel, and then you'd be kind of blocked, or as far as maybe being on a guest on shows or something like that, or even on radio. That could be part of it. But the warning has to be before that, as far as that, because you want to care for the sheep of God, and you want to respect a person, but not have respect of persons in how many subs they have, or if they're way high up in some kind of thing. Like in this case, I'm just using the example of subscriptions. You still want to be okay, be humble about it, and be oh, because you could be you could be wrong too at times, and be oh, you're teaching wrong here, and then show why, from the Bible. So there's a bit of warning, these end times still have to happen. This beast of Revelation still has to happen. So these things still have to happen.